Haha! Good evening, one and all. And once again, welcome to our wonderful, as always, Wednesday live streams. And welcome, because, well, today, if I wanted to, we could talk non-stop about Boris Johnson. We really could. We could absolutely just talk non-stop about Boris. But we're not going to, because quite frankly, what can I add? What can I add to this conversation that has not been said, at least since, well, the last weekend, since he got the fine? There's nothing more I could possibly add to the conversation. The only thing that really needs to be said is, why on earth are the Conservative MPs not acting against Boris? Either A, they feel that they've sunk so much into Boris that they just feel that they just cannot bring themselves to get rid of him, or Boris just happens to have a file on every single Conservative MP there is, and they're terrified that, well, if he goes, out comes the file. That could very, very well, maybe, who knows, possibly, be one of the choices certainly being put forward very randomly, but possibly, who knows? We will maybe never know. But it would be nice to think that the only reason that Boris Johnson is there is because he's sitting in 10 Downing Street, sitting on a file labelled blackmail material. And that's the only reason he's still there. It's probably not. I think it's very much a sunken cost fallacy. I think the Tories have sunk so much into Boris, they just feel they can't get rid of him. I think that's the truth of it. I think there's no greater mystery to it than that. So we could, again, talk for an hour, maybe more, about old Boris and his woes, or, well, probably triumph, as he tries and skips by probably another event where he should have been got rid of, shall we say, by the Tories, but once again miraculously manages to survive. Hello, Simon. Good evening to you, and good evening to everyone else who's watching. Like I say, this is the stream where no one watches, because this is the local politics stream. This is where we talk about the UK local elections and how to local elections 101. Because I'll tell you one thing, there is a sizable proportion of people on the left who do not give a damn about local elections. As far as they are concerned, it is the general election and what goes on in Westminster, and everything else can go to hell. As far as they are concerned, that is their only recourse. So I know this is not going to be the most popular stream I could have done. Like I say, logically, if I really wanted to get a large number of people watching today, I should have done a Boris stream and what's been going on in Westminster today. But, you know, what can I add that hasn't been, well, what at least I haven't even, what I've been saying, what other people have been saying for the past week now. So we're going to do something productive this week. We're going to teach people about local politics in the UK. Namely, what local politics is, what goes on in local politics, probably in your area, and more importantly, how you, yes, you, dear viewer, can get involved in local politics. And how do you do it if you really do intend to, well, stand as a local councillor? What do you do? How do you do it? What's involved? What are you in charge of if you become a local councillor? And more importantly, again, what can you do as a, well, local councillor? So, first things first. Just so happens to be, What is local politics? Well, there's no greater reason to talk about local politics other than the fact to actually show you what local politics actually is. And unfortunately, not because I like dislike the Green Party or anything like that. The Green Party were the first to post some local election material through my letterbox, so we're going to go and have a look at some local politics in my area. But of course, unfortunately, because it is the Green Party, and as you know, I've got a green screen behind me, well, it's gonna look pretty weird. So let's get started for it. So this came through my door last week. Like I say, by the way, just a quick aside before we go into this. First things first, before you even think about going into this, anything like that, first things, get involved in your local politics. Look at what your parties are doing, and if you're, let's say you're a Green person or you're a Green Party campaigner, get in touch with the representative, the guy who's standing, and ask, do you need any volunteers? Can I go do some leafleting through people's doors? It's not just door knocking, and to be honest, it's a bit of throwing people into the deep end. Just throwing them into the deep end the very first time, saying, go knock on that guy's door and ask him what he's voting at the local elections. I'm not going to lie, it's a bit daunting doing that. And I would expect at least any good party or at least good campaign machine to at least do it in pairs for your first couple, to at least give the person a bit of confidence before you're doing that. But I'd say ask, can you do any leafleting in your area, particularly if there's a local election. It'll probably potentially be in your ward. So they'd just be going up, shoving things like this through people's letterbox, which is, again, pretty easy. But of course, the big thing, registering to vote. How do you do it? Well, dear viewer, it's pretty simple. You go onto Google and go register to vote. If you're in the UK, you're looking for the .gov.uk website. If you are anywhere else, then obviously your own governmental domain will have what you need. But go to it, do it. It takes less than 5 minutes to do. You will get an email or a letter saying that congratulations, you are now registered to vote. Unfortunately, you have missed the deadline to register to vote for this May's upcoming local elections. The deadline for that was on the 14th. So unfortunately, you've missed out on that. But never fear, because like I say, there are other places, other elections going on all the time in and around your area. So this is what you want to do. Gluttonous Machina. So who do we vote for? Vote for who you feel best represents your views. It's not for me, especially a local election where different things in your locality will affect different things in what you're experiencing compared to what someone else might be experiencing in a completely different town. Look at what the people who are campaigning, what are they saying they're going to do? Keep a measure of it. If you, let's say someone posts this, some campaign literature through your door, we'll go through this in a bit. But if someone posts some campaign stuff through your door, just post it through your door. No problem. So no Lib Green, Labour Alliance and strategic voting. Here's the thing. Well, that needs to be codified. It needs to be codified. It really, really does. There needs to be an agreement from the top between Keir Starmer and Ed Davey saying, look, we're going into an electoral alliance. This is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to work. Unless that actually physically happens. And again, don't get me wrong, I think an electoral alliance is far, far more better and more likely to succeed at a general election rather than at a local election. Because more importantly, at a local election, you have people who are independents stand for votes. So if you get one of these from like an independent and you feel that that independent guy is I don't know, worth campaigning for or, you know, worth voting for, get in contact with them. Ask them, can I do some, you know, do you need some help leafleting, whatever? You know, I've read what you said you're going to do for like the ward. I want to help you do some leaflets. You know, I'll go out and post some leaflets through some door for you. You know, get involved that way, because as I keep on saying, local elections are not that well attended. The turnout rate, and I keep on reminding people for this. Oh, hello, Cathology. Good evening to you. The turnout rate for local elections is between 35 and 30%. That is nothing. It is absolutely nothing. If you can motivate like an extra 50 people to go out and vote for a particular party or a candidate, that can be enough to swing getting a candidate in your ward. This is why independents are very, very present at, you know, local elections. But when you go to like the national general election, not so much, because it's a lot harder to sort of gain that traction. A lot more people go out and vote, and you've obviously at that point really got to compete against, you know, the big national parties. And an independent, unless they have some serious cash behind them, it's very, very hard for them to get noticed, especially in like a big general election. So it's a big dust up at a general election. But like I say, a local election, you're talking between 30 and 35%. That's roughly, I think, the national average. In some towns and places, it can be even lower. Again, when you're looking at general elections, you're talking at least, you know, when you look at vote turnouts, you're looking probably, or at least votes counted, you're looking in like, you know, hundred thousands of like votes cast. But when it comes to like a local elections and you look at the results and you see like the winner has won by like 900 votes, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. But like I say, the local election coming soon. Obviously, if you want to give Boris a bit of a bloody nose, then it's quite simple. Just don't vote Tory. That's as simple as it is in this sort of local election. Like I say, we've already seen some very worrying numbers printed in none other than the Tory graph itself, of them predicting losing roughly being between about 800 seats. That's a lot of seats to lose in a, you know, in a national, well, not a national, a local election. That's a lot of seats to lose. But of course, issues, because as I was just saying earlier, local issues affect people different in different area. Something that may be affecting you locally in your town may be completely different in the ward next door. You know, you may have a serious concern with fly tipping. You might have, but the ward next door, they might have a serious problem with potholes, or the bin collections aren't being collected on time, or you know, etc., etc. Trust me, this is why local politics very ever rarely gets any attention. In fact, do you know what? Do you know what was the last time local politics actually ever got like serious national attention? It was the Jackie Weaver escapade, if you remember that. That was a local parish council that got international, not only just national, but international news. And as far as I can remember, that is the only time like a local story or local issue has ever been really raised to, the news agenda. So, the national news doesn't cover it. This is why, things like the Bylines network, so Yorkshire Bylines, East Coast Bylines, the Kent Bylines, all the different Bylines thing that they've got are absolutely fantastic. I think that's really good for like local, well, not really local, but regional reporting. I think that's really good. In Yorkshire, we've got the big regional newspaper, the Yorkshire Post, which is really good. And of course, then it comes down to where most of or shall we say, local news or at least local politics gets reported, your local newspaper. And no doubt, if you looked up your circulation for your local newspaper, it ain't going to be that big. It ain't going to be that big at all. But that's where your local news goes on. That's what news that comes from the council goes straight into. Doesn't go anywhere else. And there obviously are other ways, but unless you're actively trying to seek it out, like what went on in your last council meeting, unless you're reading your local paper on like a regular basis, you don't know what's going on in your local council. And some local newspapers don't even report on council meetings. That's how. And this is again where it gets depressing, because people can affect change so much in your local area if you get a good council team. And people in my area moan about, oh, it's the Labour council so much doing this all wrong. And you're like, okay, guys, it's like YouTube comments. You see them all the time, or of someone saying, beneath the video saying, I don't know, let's, do this differently, or you're doing this wrong. And then someone repeats, well, how are they doing this wrong, or what's different? And you don't get a response. That's the level of conjecture things have, and people just assume that things are going wrong. But Barnsley Town Centre has gone through a massive redevelopment phase pioneered by the Labour Council. Barnsley Town Centre has completely changed from what it once was. Completely, with its new developments that's just gone on. And yet people go, oh, Labour Council doing all the same things. Well, a lot of people seem to think the Labour Council's been doing a pretty good job. There's just a lot of, shall we say, very loud moaners. But anyway, let's get on into this, because, like I say, local politics. So, like I say, if I had any more literature, I'd be showing you it all. But just the Green Party just happened to be the first to put their literature through my letterbox. So again, it's no favoritism or anything like that. And like I say, unfortunately, it is the Green Party, and as you can see, I'm using a green screen, so it looks a bit weird. But needless to say, let's go into this. So first things first, who is it that's sending this? Green Party, fantastic. Which ward is it? Tells you what ward it is. Who's the guy? Tom Hayes. Got a photo of him. He door knocked a couple of weeks ago, actually. I spoke to him. I think I scared him off a bit. Because I asked because he was a Green Party member. I thought, oh, here's a chance to ask about HS2. He basically just kept on looking off like that, like, oh, I don't want to answer this question, or oh, I don't want to talk about this. So, But anyway, needs to say he hasn't been around since. So anyway, again, brings up the local council elections on May the 5th. Vote to elect hardworking local candidate. Vote for Tom Hayes. Hardworking, experienced, and accountable to you. Again, nice strap line. So let's get into a bit of local politics, a bit of this campaign literature. So Tom knows our area well. Working again as a family doctor for many years, he understands the need of our local community and can be trusted to speak up for you. Tom Hayes writes, I'm delighted and proud to have been chosen by the Green Party candidate for the local council elections here on May the 5th. Our area has felt neglected for too long. I have the skills and experiences and determination to bring a much needed change and investment to our part of Barnsley. I will work hard to stand up for our area because I believe the ward residents are poorly served and deserve so much better. Well, hopefully you'll be able to tell us what it is and how you think they are poorly served, because I'm not going to lie, that kind of rhetoric we see all the time. I want to know more. If you're saying that our ward is being poorly served, tell us why, and hopefully you will go more in depth into this. Oh, David, hello to you. Bex Wyam, the Green Party South Yorkshire mayoral candidate, said, I'm so pleased that people of the ward have had the opportunity to vote for Tom in the upcoming local election. He's an experienced campaigner who has the best interest of the community at heart. He listens to the concern of local people, takes action. I would love to see him voted on May the 5th so he can get even more done for the people of the ward. So that's sort of his campaign endorsement from, again, the mayor election from again, you may remember this from a 16-minute video where I gushed about this. And I will still say this now. One of these should be done at every election. I would love to see these put out, not just for like the mayor of South Yorkshire election, but for local elections, general elections. You need this. This is fantastic. Again, tells people how to vote, where you can register to vote, how to do your management system, what the role of the mayor is here in South Yorkshire City region. And again, then tells you again all the list of candidates, what they're doing. You've got 2 pages worth of stuff there to talk about. I gushed over it for about 16 minutes. I'm still gushing now about it because I think it's just such a fantastic thing that would massively improve the election chances and improve at least the election turnout, not only just the general election, but get more people voting in local and even the regional elections like you've got for the South Yorkshire mayor. So let's get back to this then. So the 7.5 tons of traffic trouble. Residents tell us that the roads and traffic safety are even their biggest issues and concern them. Tom says that we've collected over 200 signatures from the Bart Green residents for a petition calling on Barnsley Council to impose a 7.5 ton weight limit to stop HGVs blighting the lives of people in the village. They are dangerous, a source of pollution, cause damage to the roads, the pavements, and make it difficult for pedestrians, cyclists, and elderly, and anyone with a disability. So, again, this type of thing, local politics. Do I agree, disagree? I sort of agree, but at the same time, if you're going to ban like certain heavy goods vehicles from the roads, where do you put them? Where do you direct them? Just because you say you cannot use this road, that just means they're going to go elsewhere. It's not a solve all solution. Now, I do agree that in certain areas and in certain cases, you can make probably a very good case for banning, HGV goods in certain parts of towns and sort of areas. I think there probably is a very, very good case for doing that. But if you ban them, where do they go? Where do they go? It doesn't help for the fact, I know what he's talking about, there's a massive distribution center just down there. There's a massive, industrial estate on our good morning walks when we've shown it before. You see that when I'm on the field, there's that massive sort of grey building sort of area behind us. I think I've pointed it out before. That's a massive industrial estate with constant HGVs going in and out. If you ban them, what direction do they now take? So it's not just as easy as just banning these vehicles from these routes. So I certainly disagree with them on that. But again, as I said before, there probably is a really good case to be made for that. But I want to know what happens if you ban these heavy good vehicles from where is it, the Bart Green area. Well, they're going to go somewhere else, So anyway, let's go on to his other side now. So why are road surfaces such a disgrace? You can see a theme appearing here. You can see a big theme appearing here about road surfacing. Again, local politics, road surfacing. It's not as sexy as talking about Partygate. Like I say, according to my little thing, there's only 8 people watching us, but I'm doing this as, like I say, it's a public service as far as I'm concerned. And like I said at the beginning, I could be talking about Boris, but to be honest, what can I say that hasn't been said for or at least I've been saying for the past 2 weeks? Oops, Simon. Here are big HGVs can only use the main roads. For the centre, you have to use small trucks. Again, it's possible, but it's just logistically how it all works out. I do sort of agree with you on that, Simon. I mean, just down here, there's a small, local Tesco's opened up, and every so often they have deliveries, but because it's on a main road, you've got this massive HGV having to reverse into this area that causes, I don't know how much blockage when it has to do it for at least a good portion of time. And even then, it's where do you go? What's the alternative? And you've just said, small trucks. That might be the answer, but that will cause, more logistical problems, because now you're going to have maybe another, or at least open another logistical hub. And you've got to do that transferring to the small trucks. So, and again, and those small trucks themselves may cause an increase. And again, does come down to the weight. Like I say, I don't know if you can see here. These are some of the potholes, or at least the roads that they're talking about, if you can see on there. As you can see, that is caused by heavy goods vehicles. That's what heavy goods vehicles do. They absolutely destroy the road, especially if they're constantly using that road. Like I say, main road down there, you can't see it, but I'm pointing to it. The main road down there has to be, repaved. They've just repaved it not that too long ago. Needs to do it every 2 years because, again, as I said, distribution center down there. You've got, big industrial sites down there. They need to use those HGVs to get their goods and all their other stuff out to where it needs to be. So they need to use that main road. But as a result, that main road now needs repaving every 2 years, every year and a half. But there is, I suppose, Pretty Bird, greetings and happy 420. Greetings and happy 420 to you as well, Pretty Bird. But yeah, I like I say, it's just, it's difficult. And even I really can't come up with an answer as to how you do it. Banning them, I don't think is really the answer, because they're just going to use a different route. And then what's going to happen? That route's going to cause serious problems. What happens then? Well, they get banned there. Then they move somewhere else. So you can't just keep on doing this game of whack-a-mole of, ban the HGVs. There has to be a solution at some point, and I do agree with you, Simon, about using small trucks. That might be how they get around it. But even then, there's logistical issues of, well, now we have to put a distribution center to load on from the big HGVs to the small trucks, and then they go and deliver their stuff. So even then, and I guarantee you then, there's probably an issue with the amount of small trucks. I wouldn't be surprised, Simon, if you looked up in your sort of local area where there's lots of these small trucks operating. Wouldn't be surprised if you would see something very similar about those small trucks. So anyway, so why are roads such a disgrace? Across our ward, roads are full of potholes, water leaks, and pavements are unfit to walk on. While talking to residents on the doorstep, the same topic comes up time and time again. Yeah. Mark C, go shopping at the distribution centre there, solves it. Shopping habits, my friend, shopping habits. That, my friend, is incredibly hard to change. And trust me, working marketing, it's incredibly hard to do. So, comes up time and time again. Barnsley Council focuses its efforts and spending on the town centre legacy projects, while areas like ours feel neglected and are left behind. And I don't necessarily disagree with the town centre legacy projects, because they have really transformed Barnsley. Like, if you told me 5 years ago we were going to get like the Market Kitchen, we're going to get a brand new cinema, we're going to get these whole new incredible shopping facilities that make Barnsley actually an attractive place to come and shop, and even, dare I say, go out and eat. It's, I wouldn't have believed you, but we have it right now. The Market Kitchen is fantastic, and other councils have followed suit on that. You see the Wool Market in Doncaster. Sheffield's got one, but I can't remember what it's called now. Rotherham, I think, is getting one soon, from what I remember. But these types of places are popping up all over. So, and they're fantastic. If you've got one in your local area, go check it out. Like I say, the Market Kitchen is just a series of, small, very boutique eateries. You go to the area, you get all these different foods, you can sit down, it's a nice atmosphere. It's fantastic. Simon, either a local distribution centre, big cities, or shops tend to relocate to bigger roads. Many trouble in the EY, but potholes are really rare. Yeah, like I say, local issues, myriad and different up and down the country. You can't really ever run, or Labour at least, well, actually they can in a way. They can bring in sort of national policies like community wealth building from Paint Your Town Red. We're going, and I've said before, we need to do a stream about this book. It's fantastic, but not today. But yeah, so they can sort of do it, but it's sort of quite hard because local issues can be so varied. And even at a general election, we saw the Lib Dems, they've credited those 2 by-election wins they won in Cheshire and Amersham and North Shropshire down to them fighting them on local issues. So it's all very interesting. Oh, Ben Ridings, evening to you. Cathal OG, night all very dosed here. Well, like I say, we're talking about local politics, so I can understand if we're putting you to sleep, but it has to be done. Has to be done. So, Tom says, what we need is someone to stand up for our part of town. If elected, I will work hard to bring investment into our area. funding for better roads, safer pavements, cycle paths. Our roads are full of potholes, so it's not hard to imagine the damage they can cause. People put a lot of work into the upkeep of their houses and gardens. They can at least expect for is the council to at least meet them halfway. Fair enough. I can understand that. So this is what you would call a local campaign, a local election campaign fought on the pothole. But yeah, certainly very, very interesting. The Greens won't be getting my vote at a local council election. But one thing I did notice, quite interestingly, is this part. Where is your hat then? I do actually have my hat, but it's not. It's not here at the moment. So this election is just to elect one of 3 councillors. Like I say, this local election for, well, for this election, we've only got 3 councillors standing up for local by-election. So it's not really going to be that too much important, to be honest. And his aim, which is sort of interesting. Okay, definitely not Mr. Beast. Okay. You want my hat? There you go. I'll at least give you some fun. Some fun in this. There you go. So he's going after and certainly playing on the fact, again, in my area, you see a lot of people voting, or at least on the local social medias over here, of what do you do about Labour Council, all this type of stuff. Sort of interestingly, complaining against Labour councillors is certainly going after this, but it's kind of interesting saying, look, if you put me on the council and you vote for me, it's not a full Labour council. Barnsley Council currently isn't a full Labour council anyway. Now I should wear my hat more often. The thing is though, you don't understand, right? This hat is really, really heavy. And I've had this since 2012. I really need to get a new one of these because I don't know if you can see the band here is really, really worn. It's looking far more grey than black. And of course, you can see there's wear and tear, and it's very, very dusty. I really need to get a new one. Really need to get a new one. But yeah. So that's local politics. That's probably what, if you're in the UK, what will be coming through, certainly your letterbox, certainly if not the last week, but the next 2 weeks onwards, certainly you'll be getting. But also, if you're in South Yorkshire, I'm going to go over this very quickly again because we did an entire video covering this. We did an entire video covering this, so I really don't want to, spend I don't know how long gushing over it again. But this leaflet or this brochure that we got, absolutely fantastic. I've said this before, and I've said this every single time I gush over it. Why are we not getting one of these booklets every time there is about an election? We should be getting one of these every general election about your area. And again, it starts off with, again, just quickly, introduction tells you the local election coming up. It's from the combined area returning officer, why they're sending you out. Quick overview of the candidates, who's on offer. Tell you about the role of the mayor in South Yorkshire, the role of the mayoral combined authority. Tells you about, again, registering to vote. You've already missed your unfortunate chance to vote. But again, if you are in Wakefield, again, I stress, if you are in Wakefield, go register to vote. It is not too late because, again, you've got a very, very important by-election coming up in your area. The Wakefield by-election is going to be very, very important, and it will hopefully, fingers crossed, set the stage for, well, Labour to re-win the rest of the Red Wall. And more importantly, we have seen and certainly today, rumours that if the local elections go really bad for Labour, not Labour, really bad for the Conservatives, and if they lose this by-election in Wakefield, there is going to be a rebellion by the Northern Tory MPs, these Red Wall Tories. They have openly said this. So all the more important, we need to really get mobilized in your area. Get out, get people in your local elections not to vote Tory, get them to vote anything else but Tory. And here's the thing, if you can get 10 people out in your local ward out to vote, you potentially have just increased the turnout for a local election potentially by like 1%. And that's what I'm trying to do in my local area at the moment. There's, again, some local stuff campaigning happens on. Again, I'm part of the Labour Party, so I get emails about this stuff. But again, if you want to help out like an independent candidate, because again, they've sent something like this through your door, and you say, "Oh, I like this guy, I like what he's had to say." Get in contact with them. Ask them, "Can I do some flyering? What can I do to help you out? Get elected?" An hour or 2 hours of your day is just walking around the streets, posting that kind of stuff through letterboxes massively helps, especially at local elections. If you want to campaign for like a large party, like the Labour, Lib Dems, or Green Party, again, Greens do have a very good track record in local elections. So, get in contact with them. Like I say, on the back of here, there is, contact number, email address, Facebook page, Twitter handle, all that stuff. Massively important. What's this? Philly's having a live stream at the same time. What? Outrageous. Yeah, he's discussing Q&A. Yeah. Local councils, I agree with you. Local councils are where you are right. Most of the stuff in your area gets done in local councils. If your local council, your area, your town gets money, if your MP is successful in lobbying the government to get a bit of money, it goes down to local council. They're the ones who get to decide it on where that money is spent, where it goes. And I keep on saying it, and it's the left in the UK, and it could be different in other countries. Could be vastly different in other countries. I agree, but certainly in the UK, there's a large chunk of the left who really, really do not care about local elections. And I've said this before. If the left seriously wanted to punish the Tories in a big way, we would have seen huge campaigns and ideas and movements to get forward, the moving of people to get out and vote, get them registered, a proper mobilization at local elections, against the Tories. But we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that at all. Labour, for the past, at least since the end of lockdowns, they've known of by-elections coming in Wakefield. They've had a couple of events already in Wakefield, gearing up, getting ready for that by-election. They are ready to fight for that seat in Wakefield. So hopefully, like I say, I do really want to cover, if I can, what's going to go on and happens in that fight, in that local elections. Because trust me, it's going to be interesting. It is going to be very, very interesting when all that stuff starts kicking off. But anyway, so local elections. Local elections. What's this? Alan, my front yard. Clark Smith, Tory MP on Radio 4. Will look from confirming that Johnson attacked the Archbishop of Canterbury in a meeting with Tory MPs last night. As Starmer was right at PMQs. Not surprised. Not surprised. When you have the PR system, the voting activity isn't that damaging. It does affect it, but it's not that disastrous. Very true. Very true. But again, local elections are really important, and there's not enough done, in my opinion, to really, really get people motivated at local elections. Like I say, this piece of election material is all about potholes. Let's face it, potholes and road improvements, not really that sexy. Like I said, I've said before, I could be doing, and like I say, I know I am, hobbling myself by not talking about what's been going on PMQs today. But all that stuff has been said so many times this week and since it's been going. What more can I add? I think doing this stream about local government, how important it is far, far more important than talking about Boris at the moment. I really do. I really do believe that is the case. That's why I'm doing this, even though I know full well I could have a lot more viewers if I was talking about Partygate and Boris. So, anyway, local government. Although few people take an active interest in how their area is run, increasing awareness and involvement in local government can lead to positive changes. What we've been saying all this time. And more reflective representation of an area. New ideas and alternative models of ownership and community involvement currently springing up in Preston and elsewhere show that local government can still offer radical and positive change. Again, what have we been saying? There is so much that local government doesn't even get a look in because, again, most of it's talking about, potholes or, a councillor complaining that, the garbage, the garbage. What am I, American? The bins haven't been taken out recently. That's local elections. That's what gets talked about. And to be honest, when you look at national news, let's face it, if you're a YouTuber or anything like that, or a vlogger, what's going to get you more views? Talking about the state of potholes in your local road, or talking about, how bad Boris Johnson's doing? But here's the thing. Talking about local politics, getting people involved, or at least getting them infused and making them realize how important local politics can be a very, very big cultural revolution. So, oh yes, we're going from Paint Your Town Red today, because again, the new edition does have a in the back why you should get involved in local government and how it all works. And it's absolutely fantastic. So, just as we vote in national elections for members of parliament, who again meant to represent us and our part of the country at the national level, on a local level, we vote for councillors who represent us at our local area, known as local councillors. Again, not too much of a problem. So, what do local councillors do? Well, if you've got a problem with the landlord, you don't go to your MP, you go to your local councillor. If you're having a problem locally, whether you want more youth centres, problem in a nursing home, anything like that, that is who you go to first. You go to your local councillors. Oh, what's this? During the pandemic, our government gave over 3 billion euros to local governments to fight against the virus. They only spent 1 billion because they were afraid that they might have to pay it back if they spent it. That's the same story over here. Councils get a budget, and at the round about this time every year, anyone who works in a local council will tell you this exact same story. They are desperate to spend that money on as much stuff as they can. Because what happens if, let's say, again, for the sake of argument, you're in a council and your department has a budget of 10 grand to spend. If you only spend 5 grand of your budget, next time you're only going to get 5 grand when you might need 10. And there are various reasons why that happen. Maybe because, again, you spent the money last year, you don't need to spend it this year. There are various reasons why, of course, that might happen. But of course, what happens in these local councils is the council then goes, well, you don't need that money. We're taking it now. And it gets moved somewhere else. Unfortunately, that's how local government works. It sucks. I think that should be changed. I think if a budget is set and a council spends, let's say the fly tipping unit only spends about, again, let's keep the 10 grand thing, let's keep it simple. Let's say the fly tipping unit only spends this year 5 grand. Now, that might be that that particular year, fly tipping is down. And that means that they haven't had to go send out patrols. Maybe they've done enough literature out there to tell people about, if you've got rubbish, this is where you need to take it, But then the problem then comes is the council would reduce the budget of the fly tipping unit. So the problem then becomes, if there's an increase in fly tipping, it's only got 5 grand to fight a budget, all of this. You look away for a minute and a hat file, fat file turns up. Very true. But the big issue is, and a lot of people don't understand, it's not just national elections where you can help improve your town. It's local elections as well. And one of the things I've argued for on some occasions, on some occasions, is our local councillors do not receive any pay. And I think that is a massive disservice to our local councillors. First of all, if we did start paying them, pardon me, if we did start paying them, first of all, you'd get a lot more people interested in the job. That's the first thing. It would definitely improve, I think, the caliber of the candidates, because if you look nationally, the most people who fill local council slots are OAPs and retirees and people who are basically independently wealthy, basically businessmen who have enough wealth and time, or enough spare time, shall we say, to be able to engage in being on and involved in a local council. And I think that does a massive disservice to other people who do that. But to say that, though, the last local election we had in Barnsley, we got a 24-year-old, I think she was. And I think it's the youngest council we've had in quite a while. And she's currently sitting on Barnsley Council. So it's quite good that you do get that diversity from your local area. And I think, again, giving them a wage will help improve that diversity, not just age ranges, but different backgrounds. It would help out massively. It really, really would. But I know a lot of people sort of against that, and you see people how much they're going to get paid, etc., etc. It does open a can of worms. I'm aware of that, asking that question. So it's Piscardo. Candidates should point out how much councils have received from the EU in poor areas and see how much not being compensated by the Tories. Very true. That is very true. But that's more of a national issue. That is very much a general election issue rather than a local. Although a local candidate could bring it up, but I don't know how successful they would be. I don't know how successful they would be. So it depends your local council, because local councils are, again, structured differently. You've got single tier. You've got two-tier systems. So currently in South Yorkshire, we've got a two-tier system. We've got a metropolitan and what are the full terms now? Metropolitan District Council and Metropolitan Borough Councils. And of course, you've got Metropolitan City Councils. So you've also got counties and districts, county councils, district councils, town and parish councils, then mayors come into that as well. How it is all structured is very, very vastly different. And depending on where you live, again, South Yorkshire, we've got South Yorkshire Mayoral City Region. They've got their own council structure. And they've got, again, the mayor, which is, again, coming up for a vote on May the 5th as well. So vote Labour for that one, because the guy, we want Tim in, because, again, Dan Jarvis has been doing some really good work, and the Labour candidate will continue that good work that Dan Jarvis has been doing. So, again, that's my bit of political broadcasting done for today. So, yeah, that's the big thing. You've got to figure out where your council fits in all this. So, and it is difficult to find out. Well, it's not really that difficult. You just got to go on your local council website. That's it, really. That's what you've got to do. Go on your local council website for your area, your district, or whatever, and they will tell you what they are responsible for. So a lot of people's first call very often is to go straight to their MP. And very often your MP will say, I understand, I'll look into it, but you should be contacting your local councillor. you know, that is a lot of what they do tend to receive. So one of the big things, how can you find out what your council is doing? Because this is the big thing a lot of people do not know. What is your local council up to? What initiatives are they doing? Where are they spending money? What are they doing? Because I guarantee you, if I went out into Barnsley Town Centre and I tried to find someone who had been to like the last local council meeting, it would be hard. It would be incredibly hard. Like I say, people don't turn out, as I've already said, they do not turn out for local elections. They turn out even less to go to local council meetings. So here's the thing. So where can you find out what your local council are doing? Well, every single council should be publishing meeting agendas, minutes, and reports all on the council website. And again, if we went to Barnsley Council website, we could see that. Details of when key decisions, again, are due to be taken. Papers of the meetings at least 5 working days beforehand. Minutes of meetings, again, showing the decisions that were made. So, in fact, let's show you that right now. Let's go. Barnsley Council website. Let's get some meeting minutes. Let's have a look. I want to take my half because it's again, like I say, seriously, it gets too heavy. Let's take a look what went on in the last meeting. So here we are. Meetings, agendas, and minutes. Here we are. Straight away. Straight away. David, do you want, is today a local election? No. May the 5th. May the 5th is when local elections are. Jean-Luc Picard. Just recently I signed up to Kirklees website. It tells you who your councils are, Leversedge and the Gamsel Ward. Again, like I say, a lot of this information you can find on your local council website. But again, it's there's so many people who don't realize you can do that. And again, like what's going on? Hang on, there we go. Come on. If when the website works, of course. John, this is where it doesn't load up. This is where it doesn't load up. Come on. Let's see if that works. Oh, here we are. So I don't know why that hasn't worked, but just see if that opens up a new tab. Or is that just gonna? No, that's weird. That's quite weird. Anyway, let's get on with this. Tab previous minutes and council meeting. There you go. So this is again. Oh no, hang on. This is the NHS Barnsley one. Okay, wrong one. Wrong one. We don't want the NHS meeting minutes for the council area. We want the other one. Oh, wrong one. Right, come on. Let's see if we can get these up because I don't know why it was not loading. Let's go. Barnsley Council. Barnsley Council. Come on. Right. So let's show you. You're a lot more self-confident than me. I'm balding as well. I wear a hat always. Yeah. Trust me, my hairline used to be down here. It's going back. It's just going back all the time. Right. So this is ta-da! This is the Barnsley Council website. Da, 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 da. So we need to find out where we get our stuff. And if it's in have your say, could very well be. Make a comment, tell about it. That's a consultation. Take part in a conversation. Investment partnership survey, Royston, Woodwell Town, complaints, dealing with your complaint, children's social care complaints, complaints about schools, complaint about Birdseye homes. Have your say, everything else, and your customer feedback, understand just policy survey. Council. Here we are. So here you will have, and here you will see some of the stuff about what Barnsley Council is up to. So we've got the council plan, our council plan, 2022-2023 budget. So let's have a look at the budget. We've got a video. So this budget was passed on the 24th of February 2022. You can follow the full details and the full council budget papers and a guide to the budget and council tax. Information about the budget. Where do the council monies come from? Again, tells you. Every year we set a budget for the coming financial year, April to March. The budget sets out how we spend the money and to provide a range of services to meet the needs of our residents, including schools, social care, planning, public health, being collectors, road maintenance, etc., etc. Increased services. Why increasing council tax? Council spent. Why do I have to pay for services I don't use? Because we live in a society. You should pay for services because one day, while you may not be using them now, maybe in the future, you may need those services. How much should you work to pay your staff? So that is the council plan. So the 12 council, this is part of the Barnsley 2030 project. Let's go back, council plan. Management team. Again, who the chief executive is. Again, all the head of the different services. Budget and finances, strategies, key strategies. So here are some strategies. This is how you find out what's going on with your service, essentially. Yeah. Duke of Vengeance. Yeah. Imagine their house burning down and the fire service was outside refusing to put it out because they haven't paid their taxes. Imagine that. Imagine that. But yeah, these are just some of the strategies and plans that Barnsley Council has in place. So let's take a look at Barnsley Economic and Renewal Action Plan. So this outlines the immediate help for, again, local people, employees and places, and puts us on a road towards social and economic renewal post-pandemic. It will help people, employers and places recover, but it also puts us on course to make our economy and society stronger, greener and fairer. Sounds good. Let's take a look at it. Watching not load now. Oh, no, here we go. Here we go. Hey, can you see this? Excellent. So this is the Barnsley Economic Renewal Action Plan. This, ladies and gentlemen, is real local politics we're getting into now. So, introduction. Why is this needed? We are a catching up economy. Barnsley is a proud market town, and while the borough encompasses 6 principal towns and other settlements within its rich industrial heritage, it is also a borough council, which means which has much a greater ground to make up for than other places in the national transition, again, into a service and knowledge-based economy with significant levelling up opportunities existing across the borough. We have understood and acted upon our challenges for many years throughout this transition. Any social and economic crisis, such as the global coronavirus pandemic, comes as a particular challenge to Barnsley because of the legacy issues that we face. Again, Barnsley is still facing the effects of the mining crisis, not the mining crisis, the miners' strike and the deindustrialization that caused in this area. Unfortunately, we still haven't moved on from that, and that was in the 80s. Like I say, if you ever talk to people from Barnsley, you'd think the miners' strike was still on. It's bizarre, but there you go. As such, we have a lower than average levels of economic activity, health inequalities, and some particularly deprived communities. This has meant that Barnsley has been hit harder by the pandemic than other areas of England and will need to work harder to recover to economically and socially from its impacts. In February of 2021, the government announced its roadmap out of national lockdown, outlining a series of steps that may be taken towards the removal of legitimate limits on the community and social activity, not earlier than June of 2021. The decision on moving between each step, the government will be looking at data, the transition, mortality rate of the virus, etc., etc. In response, we have developed this renewal action plan, which aims to provide immediate help for local people, employees, and places, and puts us on the road towards a social and economic renewal. So, some of the strengths and weaknesses of our economy are analysis in section 2 of this plan, along with the story that impacts the pandemic, but the main body of the plan will focus on action, what it can do to support rapid recovery and effective recovery. The plan also contributes to our longer-term goals and development through to Barnsley 2030, so we can look towards a better future. This plan shows how Barnsley Council and its public and private and third sector partners will help. So people, to adapt to the new economy and be better equipped to fill the high-skilled jobs. So I can presume maybe more apprenticeships, maybe more stuff like that. Not 100% sure. Reet crew, good evening to you. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Like I say, hope so. Hope so, because like I say, as we witnessed today earlier, the Northern MPs are potentially going to revolt against Boris. So that will be very, very interesting. Very interesting. Employees of business adapt to and consolidate and thrive in a new environment. Places to create jobs, make our towns, villages, and rural areas more resilient and transformative local economies. A more inclusive and productive economy. Stronger. An economic transformation to create not just a bigger economy, but a better one. More inclusive, high-skilled, and creating higher valued socially and economically. Greener. To transform to become a low-carbon economy to improve our economic and revolutionize our transport. Again, fairer, to transform our well-being and inclusion to raise the quality of life for all. So collective enterprise with our partners. The renewal action plan has been developed in close partnership with Barnsley's businesses, the borough's anchor institutions, skills and education providers. Anchor institutions. So this is actually paint your town red stuff. This is community wealth building, because in order for any local council or any local city to really help develop a community wealth building plan, it has to identify local anchor institutions, such as your local Chamber of Commerce, businesses that are solely Barnsley-based businesses, to look at, again, what is out there so that the council knows what institutions and what businesses they can work with to improve Barnsley as a whole. So I'm really, really glad that we're looking at this, because that's, as we said before, that's this. Oh, where is it? There it is. That's this. That's paint your town red stuff. So the Kill Skis and Education providers are Barnsley Rotherham Chamber of Commerce, Barnsley CVS, the Sheffield City Region, and other 3 constituent local authorities and other partners throughout the borough, and the SER COVID response groups. This plan identifies key aims and programs which will deliver to introduce collectively to strengthen Barnsley economically, improve stability, ensure people are supported with develop their skills, retrain and current employment, and also move into new employment. Help businesses and employers to recover, develop places like our high streets, towns, villages, and neighbourhoods to restore their economic and social vibrancy. The changes we will make in the next 18 months. So again, something to watch out for. Again, people to help improve their skills, get back to work, retain and or progress in work, sustain growth and or set up in business. Accelerate our net zero carbon transition through creating a zero carbon route map for the borough. So this is obviously a big thing as well. We do need to transition towards net zero. Local councils can help do that themselves. They don't have to wait for Whitehall to do this type of stuff. Councils can act on their own to do this. Of course, they will eventually need central government's help, because they'll need that, funding and support. And of course, the big problem now, of course, comes in the new Community Wealth Fund, where councils, where they were once under the EU scheme, the EU just went, oh, you need money? Here you go. Under the new scheme, the new government plans, it's, you want money? Well, now you have to compete with it with every other town or city or potential competitor in the UK. So we're all literally fighting for the same barrel and pot of money. That is not good. That is not good at all, because towns and cities will lose out. So back our businesses as wealth and job creators. Thank you. I'm so glad that said that, because that is community wealth building. So again, community wealth building, paint your town red stuff going on in Barnsley. Again, that's Labour-led. Improve the connectivity across the borough within South Yorkshire. Fantastic. Transport, and public transport in particular, massively important to local economies. Massively. Increase the development of urban Barnsley and the principal towns and neighbourhood investment plans. Fantastic. The plan and map also includes medium and longer term initiatives. So how is this all going to be funded? Again, the big question. Parts of this plan are already funded through Barnsley Council, the national government and SER funds. Some funds will come as a wider range national and regional funding partners and anchor institutions, as well as from businesses themselves. Other elements of the plan will require to be securing additional funds. So now you start to see the problem of why councils having to campaign for this. It's going to be a problem, because we could be on a really good path, clearing all these checkpoints, and we need this additional funding to, move to the next step. Well, Barnsley Council applies, doesn't get the money. Barnsley Council applies, doesn't get the money. Another town does. And you only get to apply for it so many times a year. Something a lot of people, again, haven't brought up. Again, this work is already underway, and we will try to endure and pursue any future funding opportunities which fit with the big ambitions of this plan. We are now in discussions around what support we can expect using the powers and, again, the funding in the recent Sheffield City Regional Development Deal to try and help the borough's people, businesses, and places. So, again, that's where Sheffield City Regional Mayor comes in. Again, sits within the government strategies, but we don't need to really know that. Again, just the different things. So you've got the different place boards. There's Barnsley 2030, Healthy Barnsley, Learning Barnsley, Growing Barnsley, Sustainable Barnsley. Again, got all that. Again, Market Kitchen, very, very good. And again, I know this person, I've worked for them. Undoubtedly, times have been tough for businesses in Barnsley, but their effort and collective support within our widest business community has been brilliant. We see this action plan for renewal as a statement of how much we are ready to doing and get our local economy back on its feet. And it shows how the partnership can be build resilience for greater diversity in Barnsley businesses. And although priority support as we move on from COVID-19. To Barnsley, before, during, and after COVID pandemic. Again, trends and issues for people. So, work, economic engagement, and inclusion. Like many parts of the North, Barnsley's role in the national structure of economic transition of the last 40 years means that our local economy must grow more than anywhere else to generate enough replacement work. As we've said before, deindustrialization is the problem with this. This dates back to the 80s. So many jobs left, and then Margaret Thatcher and co. just did not reinvest any areas of the North. So all the jobs just went, and you had a mass of people that just could not get jobs. So this led to a lot of people, if they could, leave the town to cities or elsewhere further afield if they could. There was a lot of coal mining in particular. Not too surprisingly, Barnsley and in Australia and New Zealand, you will find a lot of people with roots from Yorkshire coal mining towns out over there in Australia, because they took their coal mining expertise when the pits closed up in the north. They took them over to Australia and New Zealand. So you'll not be surprised to know that there are quite large sort of former expat Yorkshire communities in those two countries. So great progress, of course, has been made, as job growth has been 3 times faster than the city regional average between 2015 and 2019. But gaps are persistent. More than 14,000 more jobs would be needed to match the provision across the city region. Economic engagement in Barnsley has continued to improve considerably since the mid-2010s, but was again starting to slip again pre-pandemic. The average percentage of people unable to work or choosing not to has been higher than the national average since 2015. Progress in availing deprivation has also stalled since 2010 in the wake of the 2008-2009 recession. Again, we are still facing the effects of that, not only just here, but across the country. Austerity and, of course, the real-term decline of wages. And, of course, by 2019, 56% of Barnsley's neighbours were, again, in the lowest third nationality in the index of multiple deprivation. So, skills and training talks about, again, more during the trends of the pandemic. Again, a successive public lockdown since March of 2020 have had a clear impact. 10% of all eligible employees were on furlough at the end of 2020, and approximately there were 1,350 redundancies have been announced in the borough, pushing back the jobs growth. And until the end of the jobs retention scheme, Barnsley has not been especially affected compared to other places. In fact, in December of 2020, the workout of the claimant court and the procession of workers furloughed were far lower than the national average and regional agencies. However, the job losses so far have already weakened Barnsley's moderate employment market. Again, like I say, times are tough in Barnsley. We've had some things, but there you go. So again, what the plan is for beyond. If every job on furlough at the end of 2020, 10,500 is made redundant in May of 2021, it would eliminate all jobs growth since 2014. Again, like I say, as we've seen, not happened, but we were close. We were very close. Again, telling you about some employment and businesses in Barnsley, the place before, again, different areas, museums, sort of different how the town centre is affected. So footfall in Barnsley town centre has fallen dramatically during the pandemic, as it has for the rest of other towns and cities around here. Digital, Barnsley's worked to create conditions to facilitate delivery across world-class digital infrastructure. Again, we've had massive investment in our stuff. We've got the DMC2, which is fantastic. They've got a digital hub. They've actually got a workshop that has full, like a full series of like 3D printers. Generally, it's pretty amazing. If you are in the area, go check it out. It's kind of fun to see. Culture and visitor economy. Again, COVID-19 has had a huge impact on physical attendance of all our exhibitions and events during 2021. Not surprising. Again, 2021 and beyond, town centre. According to some evidence, Barnsley town centre is relatively well placed for recovery compared with other centres which may have a higher resilience on student populations, cultural anchors, out-of-town visitors, and large format national chain retail. That's referring to Meadowhall. At the point when restrictions were at the lowest in 2020, footfall in the town centre returned to the pre-pandemic levels. However, in a way which urban centres will be used is undoubtedly going to change as a result of the pandemic. And this must be factored into plans to try and diversify demand into leisure and hospitality in the town centre. So the Barnsley post-COVID SWOT analysis. So strengths, strong, consistent track record of delivering inner investment and indigenous business growth, higher than average jobs and business-based growth prior to pandemic, very successful established business support system and programs, strong success rates in securing external funding, including existing and ongoing central government funds. Weaknesses, the continued deficit in volume of jobs and businesses pre-pandemic, persistent high-level skill gaps, poorer than average health outcomes across a range of indicators, including life expectancy, deaths, preventable diseases, challenging in the making progress in alleviating multiple deprivation. Opportunities, ensure that public health and all inquiries and health outcomes remain a priority in regulation, recovery activity, build back to from pre-pandemic jobs growths, continuing the close gap on entry-level skills, ongoing investment in Barnsley's new town centre and the SEAM digital campus, further investment in strategic employments cluster at Junction 36, including the possible Freeport tax site status. Again, that's interesting. I did not know that Barnsley was getting a free port. That's news to me. That's news to me. Again, local politics. Local politics. I didn't know we were getting a free port. How interesting. How very interesting indeed. The stuff you learn. The stuff you learn when you actually, go into look into your local politics. Threats, potential for large-scale redundancies in mid-2021. Ongoing austerity and decline in real-time wages, continuing to relative deprivation, possible midterm irreversible disruption for manufacturing businesses from Brexit, import-export regulations. Glad they've got that in there. Older than average populations continues to be more susceptible to the pandemic, even after vaccination. Long-term health effects, of course, on the population with higher than average pre-existing ill health, including mental health and effects of pandemic life. That's the new DMC2 building. recovery priorities in the next 18 months. Again, fantastic recovery objectives, people support to work and adapt to the new economy. So 550 return to work support investments by October 2022. Recovery of late levels of employment in Barnsley in line with better than South Yorkshire average, measured by percentage change of work-related claimant cost index of June 2021. Employers and business, annual number of business starts back to the pre-pandemic rate. Support through place-based investment, create better jobs, offer vibrant local economies, and transform our communities. Completed the Glassworks project's phase 2 by the end of 2021. Established the Eldon Street Heritage Action Zone and bring at least 15,000 square foot of vacant floor space into historic buildings back into economic use, which will be good. Design enabling works for the STEM, the future high streets investment, and establish a refreshed town plan by the end of 2021. Again, I bet we could find that if we looked for it. People, actions, what they want. So again, you get the idea. Like I say, it's a massive, massive plan to be done, to say the least. But it is good to see that there are these plans obviously existing. And as I've said before, this is what you do about local economies. I feel like, is Barnsley a port? No, no, Barnsley's not a port. But yeah, free port status. As we've said before, the big problem is you just get businesses move into the free port. So it's not bringing new businesses into the area. It's more creating a sucking effect that sucks all these businesses into the free port, so they gain all the advantage of the free port. But of course, doesn't really provide any benefits because it's not bringing new business. It's just the businesses just move into the free port. So it doesn't really attract the new business investment that they claim. And like I say, this data goes all the way back to when we had free ports and we had to close them down. Like I say, David Cameron closed down the last free port back in 2012. Barnes on the East Coast like Hull. True. But yeah, needless to say, very interesting. Again, all these different strategies, but what we want meetings. We want meetings. That's what we want. Bylaws, town halls. That might do it. No, not there. This is the biggest problem. This is the biggest problem. It is not clearly signposted something and information that you very clearly need, which is minutes and stuff that's going on in your town hall. That's the way it would work. The on-bar performance. No. Bylaws. Is it the bylaws? Bylaws currently enforcing Barnsley. So again, these are just some of the bylaws that have been put in Barnsley. Yeah, and where is it? Information we publish. Got to be here somewhere. Oh no, I don't want to download that. Oh, why you download that? Don't want that. Constitution. Hey, Constitution. No, Government Act 200 to make a constitution available in respect of our offices, published on our websites. Again, if you want to get involved in local politics, find out what your local council's constitution is. Very, very important to know. I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised. Constitution again. So at least we found where the Constitution is. Again, if you ever go into council work, you need to know the Constitution, or at least it's good to know what the Constitution is. Chart parking spaces, pay policy statements. Why is it so hard to find something that's so important? God, it's buried under here. Oh, bylaws. We've gone to the bylaws. Do with the foreign monitoring officer. Ah, here we are. This might be it. Mayor of Barnsley. Don't need to know the mayor. Councillors and e-democracy. Here we are. Contact a councillor, councillors, council constitution, council meetings, council partnerships, council surgeries, document library. That was probably it. How we make decisions, members of parliament, committee structure, parish and town councils, recent council decisions. So, officer decisions. Council decision measurements allow for routine decisions to make by officers, paid professionals by the council, records of decisions published by the website, to requirements of government regulations, kind details covering the powers. So what we've got at the moment from this date range, which is not a lot, but we've got Gorba Primary School external works, early payment procedures, Barnsley Backability Project. That's what we want. Just interesting because you might be able to see the list of councillors here. Here we are. Here we are. Here we are. Here's our councillors. You're going to notice. You're going to notice. Not a single one of these people is young. They are all old. And this is what I said before about why I think we need to start a conversation about actually paying councillors, because all these people do this job for no pay. So I definitely think they need to get paid, because again, it would attract more people to being a local councillor, and well, I think it would bring up certainly up the caliber, shall we say, of local councillors as well. So this is our only Conservative, Penistone East, I believe. So it's Councillor Robert Bartrand, or Robert Bernard. He's our only Conservative councillor. At least I think he is, from what I remember. So Labour, 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 Lib Dems, Independent, Labour, 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 Barnsley Independent Group, Labour, 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 Lib Dems, Independent. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! It's Victoria Felton. Oh no! So, those of you who don't know, Victoria Felton was the person who was running for the Brexit Party here in Barnsley, and we very, very nearly came close. We were very, very close to electing a Brexit Party, and she was the person. And there are stories going around about the Feltons in Barnsley. Let me tell you that. I don't know if it actually tells you more about them. But yeah, she's independent now. Labour, 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 Lib Dems. Oh, no, we do have Penistone. Not surprising. Conservative. So we've got two Conservatives. Two Conservatives. I think we've had 3 Lib Dems and I think 4 Independents with them so far. Again, Labour, Labour, Labour. Oh, no, we've got another Lib Dem person. Another Lib Dem. Labour, 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 Independent, Labour, Old Town, another Lib Dem, Labour, that's the mayor, Labour, 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 Conservative, and that's 3 Conservatives, Labour, 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 Lib Dems, Labour. So, as you can see, quite heavy Labour. But I'm interested. Do we look into Victoria Felt? I'm just interested to see what our interest is. So this is what you can do. But again, there's more councillors at least. Oh, Monkbretton, yeah, that's where the Democratic Veterans Party were very heavy our stuff. That's surgery details. Again, appointments to outside bodies, Barnsley Ex-Provisional Service Fund. Oh, you can even look at the gifts and hospitalities registry. Register of interest, declarations at meetings, attendance records, surgery details. Let's look at declarations at meetings. No declarations of interest. Earlier. Interesting. She seems to have put forward absolutely nothing. Again. But you can see we're very, very Labour dominated here in Barnsley. But what we're looking for is officer decisions. We don't want officers. Do you want committees? Not really. These are all your committees, of course. You've got Planning Regulatory Board, Standards Board, Statutory Licensing Regulatory Board. Again, quite important for running local councils. Again, people don't realise that this stuff exists. Is Councillor Birkinshaw still there? I don't know, actually. Let's go back to councillors. Let's find him. Oh. Doesn't seem to be there. No, doesn't seem to be there anymore. But yes, what we want, it might be in the library. Here we are. Here we are at last, maybe. Council's hours and expenses, notice of private meetings, notice of decisions not put forward, list of cabinet decisions, surgeries. I don't know if it'll be in there. List of cabinet decisions 2015, 2016, 2018, 2020. God, why is it so hard to find council meetings? Oh, is that why? Had an argument with her in town before the 2019 Euro elections. Absolutely thick. But look, we've got even an MEP section still. Contact the European Parliament at. Yeah, that hasn't been updated in quite some time. MPs, Tells you all the MPs for the Barnsley area. So we've got Miriam Cates, Penston Stopwith, John Healy for Wentworth and Durham, obviously mine, Dan Jarvis, and of course Stephanie Peacock. So again, we are pretty much again Labour dominated, but again, Penistone Stockbridge, again, Penistone is very, very the rich, the posh area of Barnsley, as Paul will tell you, is certainly the one. But yeah, we're not interested in MPs today. God. I'll tell you what this is proving. This is proving just how difficult it actually is to find council meeting minutes. You'd think this would be quite easy, but it's not. Try and Google and search here. Paste, search. Ah, here we are. Meetings, agendas, and minutes. Bingo. Meetings, agenda, minutes. Committee meeting information. Representative, how to get involved, email regarding particular issues, committee meetings, outside bodies, decisions, public questions at council meetings. And again, that's something else people aren't aware of, by the way. You are allowed to bring stuff up at a public meeting. You can, but of course, there's a process about how to do it. So you can do that. A lot of people really aren't aware of that. That's what we want, I think. I think this should take us to it. Oh, here we are. Calendar of meeting, forward plans. Did I see its document committees? I hope someone's keeping time on this. How long it's taken us to actually try and find this. So, Central Area Council. That might be it. Aha! Here we are. At last. So, by the looks of it, the next agenda is on the 27th of April at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So let's take a look at the agenda, see what's being discussed. Minutes of the previous meeting. Performance. The Youth Association are discussing. So they're discussing the YMCA, which is quite interesting. Procurement and financial updates. Notes from the ward alliances. So again, this is one of the things that it is really about. I'm gonna wrap this up in a moment, but that's local council. This is what happens. This is local election stuff, and I know it's boring. And I've said I could quite happily, or could have quite happily, sat here for 2 hours, banging on about Boris's performance in PMQs before he's gone to hide in India. Who knows how long? Maybe for the rest of the week. I could have quite happily talked about Boris, but I felt it was far more important to talk about local elections, why they're important, where you can get your local election information, why it's important to again register to vote, that you can, how you can get involved, how you can find information. I've just shown you how difficult it is to actually find information, especially in local meetings, agendas, minutes of the last meeting, what's going on in your council. Lots of people have no idea what's going on in their local council because, again, some of this information, how long we were searching for just to find that information. Eventually we found it, but as you can tell, it's buried quite deep in your local council website, but it is there. Like I say, they are required by law to provide this stuff. So if you are interested, or I have at least sparked your interest in local politics, please do start keeping an eye on what's going on in your local politics, because it is really important. Local politics can make a big difference, and it is important to have this good type of stuff involved. Be aware of what's going on in your local council, what decisions they're making, what, again, are they doing stuff like, so we went through the Barnsley's recovery plan for that. We've just found out Barnsley is trying to apply for Freeport status. I had no idea about that until I've read about that. Quite interesting. But again, there you go. That's local politics. Trust me, it's not incredibly sexy. Like I say, I am fully aware. Like I say, we went over initially with the Green Party guy. I'd say about 80% of that on this leaflet is talking about potholes. It's not exactly the most thrilling thing to talk about, especially other stuff going on in politics at the moment. But that is local politics for you. It is very, very, very important. And it's very important that you keep an eye on it, because with the death of local papers, which are the main organization and body that do tend to keep an eye on local politics, with them, well, disappearing, it becomes harder and harder to find out the information and just what's going on. So, like I say, please, if I have at least in the slightest piqued your interest in having a look at what's going on in your area, or at least local politics, then as far as I'm concerned, I have succeeded in some small way, shape, or form. And like I say, regardless of however you intend to vote in the upcoming May local elections, please do go out and vote. If you're in South Yorkshire, you will have had one of these through your doors if you are registered to vote. Go out and vote for your South Yorkshire Mayor as well on May the 5th as well. So, with that said, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a one-off donation link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Like I say, we've got more videos coming out about this week. So again, some interesting stuff about the Northern MPs, the fact that they are potentially looking at a full-blown rebellion by these Red Wall Conservative MPs, which is highly interesting. I'm very looking forward to doing a video about that tomorrow, and the comments that have been said about that. And again, regarding not only the local election, but of course the Wakefield by-election as well. And of course, we'll see you on Saturday morning, as always, bright and early for the Good Morning Walk. And as always, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for watching. And we'll see you next time again for another Wednesday Wisdom, where we will probably be talking about something else. Maybe we'll finally go talk about and revisit Andre Walker, see what he's been up to. Because I don't want to go back and cover George Galloway again. Not again. But yeah, as always, like I say, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for joining in, and we'll see you always next time.